Hey, what's up and how are you doing? In this video, we are going to be working on making our shopping page responsive so it looks good on different screen sizes using CSS media queries and a little bit of JavaScript. Now, if you don't know how to use CSS media queries, I have a video on that and I recommend you check that out. Alright, to start making this web page responsive, what we have to do is right-click anywhere on this browser and click on this option that says Inspect. And then look for this option that says Toggle Device Toolbar or Toggle Device Emulation. Once you click that, you'll be taken to a screen you can actually resize and see how your web page will look like on different screen sizes. Now, the trick to making a responsive website is to keep resizing this screen and watch out for your different sections, okay? The header, the main section, and of course this our product collection here, and the footer. Okay, we want to watch out and see at which screen size do they start looking bad. Okay, now if I keep resizing at 1000 ps, okay, at around 1000 ps, everything kind of seems okay. But one thing I would like to change are these screen sizes. I feel the space we are leaving at the left and right side is just too much at this screen size. We can actually make use of this space, okay, so the content of the page would occupy those space. So what we can do to do this, to fix this, is, if you remember in our code, if you open our CSS code, what is actually causing this space here is this container class we have, okay, this container class where we set the width to 80. We can actually override this using media query. Now, to do this, all we have to do is come to the bottom of our CSS code and then we'll say at media, open and close brackets, max width, and we're going to say at which screen size is that going to be. Let's say at around 1000 or even 1000. Okay, at around 1100 ps, okay, we want to just reduce the space here. So to do that, we'd say at around 11,000 ps or 1100 ps, we want to call the container and change the width to 90%. 95 could have done that, but let's see what 90 does. Okay, this is kind of okay, so we have more room now. Okay, so let's go ahead and keep resizing. Every other thing kinds of look okay at this screen size, but I feel this product, okay, the images are really too small. Okay, we want them as big as possible. So what we can do for this section is, instead of having 4 columns, okay, we can resize this to just be 3 at this screen size. All right, so we'll go ahead and, if you note where we are doing that, okay, that layout, we have it in our product container. This is where we have this grid template column here. So in that same media query there, we'll grab our products. Let me just go ahead and copy that there. So grab the product container. And what we want to change is the grid template colon. We want it to be 3 colons now, and at 3 colons, what sizes do we want each column to be? Now, initially we were using 23%. If we look at the code for that, where is that? All right, initially what we had is 23 to occupy the full width of the parent. Now that we want to have 3 colons and we have a total of 100%, if we do 30, that's a total of 90%, and the remaining 10% can be used for the spacing. So let's try that out. 30%, 30%, and we can actually save this. Oops, I have an error there. Save that. You can see now we have just 3 colons now, and this kind of looks okay. Let's increase this to around 31. So we'll do 31 and save this now. Yeah, this is better. Now, every other area of the web page kind of looks okay on this screen size, so we're actually going to be leaving this the way it is. And let's just go ahead and reduce this again. Still okay. Let's reduce this a bit.
Now at around 900 or 930 something, okay, these images are starting to look really small. Now this is a fashion site, okay, so we need the image to look as large as possible for the user to see, and also this footer is starting to look too pressed together. So what we can do to fix this now is for these images, okay, if we come to our CSS for the products, okay, we'll have another media query. So media, this time we are looking at a max width of 930 what is that, 934, okay, 934 px. What we want to change here is we want to change the colon of this. Instead of 3 colons, we need 2 now, and that will be 100 divided by 2, which is 50%, 50%, but we need space there, so we'll go with that 45 or 46. So let's go with 46%, 46%, and save that. Perfect. You can see we have the just 2 colons now. For the footer, we want the same thing for the footer, okay, at this screen size we want the footer to just be 2 colons there. Now if you look for where we styled the footer initially, this is where we did that styling here, okay, footer wrapper. This is where we gave a display of flex, and each element had a width of 24. Each child of this flex box had a width of 24%. So we want to override this. I'll just go ahead and copy this code here. I'm lazy, I don't want to rewrite that. Now on this screen size, which is 934, I'll paste this there. Now what we want to do on this screen size is override from 24 to 45, the same thing, or let's go with 46, and save this and see what we have. Now we don't see that happening because we are using a display of flex. If you check the flex wrapper, the footer wrapper, we have a display of flex. By default, a flex box will not allow its children to wrap. That is, it will not allow its children to form another row. It will always try to maintain a single row. So to override that, what we can do is change the flex wrap property to wrap. By default, it is set to no wrap. So once we have it in wrap and we save that, you can see this in action now. Now, whenever this happens, you can see all of the different boxes don't really have space between them. So let's create that space. So what we'll do is, for this footer wrapper div, we'll give it a margin bottom, okay, of around 30 px. Let's save this, and that is perfect. That does that for us. So margin bottom of 30 px, and every other area kind of looks good. Now, one thing we might need to fix at this screen size is that whenever you're dealing with a screen size of around 1000 or 900 px down, okay, we are majorly talking about mobile devices in this screen size now. We are talking about mobile devices, tablets, smartphones, and things like that. Now, and this behavior we have on our product, that when you hover over the product, that the add to cart button shows, it won't really go well on a mobile device because smart devices or touch screen devices don't really have the hover effect. So what we want to do is we want to override this and get rid of it on the screen size of around 900 or 930 something px. So if you remember, the code for that came from where we set the display of this add to cart. Where is that button? Okay, sorry, this add to cart, we set the display to none. Okay, so what we want to do at this screen size now, this 934, is we want to reset that from none, okay, to block. If I save this now, you would see that even without hovering on this, that button is showing, and this is actually very good for mobile devices, okay, or smartphone or touch screen devices. Now by doing that, we can notice that the space between the product, okay, the margin bottom is actually really small now, so we can fix that. So we want to increase the margin bottom, and if we look for the code that did that, that is on the product itself. So we had a margin bottom of 80 px, so we want to increase that to maybe 100. So we'll come here and say product, give it a margin bottom, let's do 100 px and save that. Perfect, that is kind of okay. So this section is done now. The footer is done. The other section we might need to work on this screen size. Every other thing looks good. Okay, every other thing looks good. Let's also go ahead and reduce this again. Wow. Now at this screen size, which is around 834, okay, you can note that our paragraph element here, okay, that p tag, that text that says promo starts November 5th, is actually nowhere to be found. And that's because if you remember in our code, okay, on the main section, we gave it a fixed height. Okay, we gave it a fixed height of 300 ps. So at this size now, 300 ps is actually too small for it to contain the paragraph text. So we can actually override that. So on this screen size, that is 784. We can actually have a 784, but we already have a 934, and 784 to 934 is pretty close. So instead of writing another media query rule, what we can do here is call the main section, okay, and instead of having a fixed height there, we'll give it a height of auto, okay, set the height to auto. That's perfect, okay, we can see the text is showing. Another thing I want to fix is the width of this element here, okay. You can see the width here in our code. If we look for auto promo, I think we gave it an ID of auto promo, main promo. We gave it a width of 50%. We want to quickly increase that, okay. 50% is pretty too small at this screen size, so let's increase that. I'll just make a copy of this, go to the media query section, which is here, and instead of 50, let's do a 70% and save that. Perfect, this looks better now, okay? And every other section looks good. The only problem I'm starting to have at this screen size, okay, is the header. Normally on a mobile screen, what we would usually have on a mobile screen is a button here, okay, like a menu button to toggle the menu to show and hide, okay. That's what we generally have in a mobile device. So we want to also do that now. So we are going to create a button, okay, in our HTML. So we'll go to the HTML. Let's open our HTML. In our header, just part of this UL, okay, we'll make a new UL here. Alright, we'll make, not a UL, we'll make another LI here. And this LI would actually be a button, okay, because it's going to be clickable. Now we are going to be using an icon for that button there. Alright, we'll be using an icon. Do I have the menu icon here? Let me see in our images if we have the menu icon. No, I don't. There is no menu icon here. Alright, so we'd have to actually go get that. Now, whenever I'm getting an icon, be it an SVG icon or any other kind of icon, a popular place where you can get it is a site called Icon Finder. Okay, Icon Finder. So if I go to Icon Finder and I click on this to take me to the site, I can actually search for an icon. Now the icon we want is a menu icon, so I'll click on that menu icon. So this is like the icon we want. I need a free one. Okay, which one do we go for? I kind of like this one, so I'll click on this to grab this, and I can download this icon as a PNG or any other format. But what I can also do is pick it up as an SVG, and we've been working with SVG so far in this tutorial, so I'm actually going to be using that. So I'll go ahead and click on this to copy the SVG. This will copy the SVG code for us. So what we can do is come back to the HTML. In between this button, go ahead and paste that SVG we got. Now, this would actually copy some other things we don't need. For example, up to this point, we don't need this. We just need the SVG itself. So I'll get rid of that and copy the SVG itself. Let's check if that is showing on our browser. Alright, it's actually showing, but the height is pretty much. Okay, so we want to get rid of the height. So if we go to the SVG, we should see a place where the height is set. You can see this, height of 700. We don't need that. So we'll get rid of that and save that again. Perfect, we can see that the height is gone, and this is what we just want here. Now let's quickly style that button, okay, so we can have it looking like the other icons we have. Alright, to do that, we'll where do we have the other icons? I think it was at the header. Alright, so header li. So we would come here and say header li button. Okay, first of all, we want to get rid of all the outline none. That should be a none. Another one is the border, so border none, and save that. That should get rid of the outline and border. That's perfect. If we zoom in, let me zoom in a bit. So let's zoom in. You will notice we have a background color with it. I don't need that background color. So what we'll do is change the background color to white or make it transparent so it uses the color of its parent. Perfect, that is done. Now when we're on this screen size, okay, which is around this 784, well, generally mobile devices starts from around 900 or smartphone devices, so we can just target 900 too. Now when we're on that screen size, we don't want to see these menu icons anymore. I mean these menu links, this men, women, kids, we don't want to see this anymore. Okay, we want to only see it when we click on this button, and if we click on this button again, we'll hide it. Alright, so to get that done, what we'll do is, if we come to that screen size, that is around 900, so let's make a new CSS rule there. So a new CSS rule of at media, I will say max width of 900 px. Okay, at this screen size, what we want to do is we don't want to see these elements anymore, these links anymore. Of course we want to see them, but we only want to see them when this button is clicked on. Okay, so to do that, if we go to our HTML and we try to look for that button, okay, if we go to the HTML and we try to look for that button, where is that button? I will try to look for the, okay, not the button, sorry, it will try to look for this nav element. Okay, this is the parent of this navigation links we don't want to see. So what we can do to that at this screen size is call the nav, okay, and we'll give this a position, okay, of fist. Let's give that a position of fist. You can see now it's no longer with the parent anymore, it has a position of fist. Let's also give it a background color so we can see it. So we'll give it a background color. Let's go with red first. Perfect, this is it right here. Now we want to increase the width to at least 100% of its parent. So we will give it a width of 100%. Perfect. And since we are giving a position of fist, let's give it a left of 0 and a top of 0 also. Alright, good. We can see it here. Now what we want for this is, we want it to show under this navigation, not at the very top. So let's just increase the top to around, let's try 100 px here and save that. Perfect, that's too much. Let's raise it up a bit. Let's go to 980. Alright, that's kind of okay. That's kind of okay. Now, we don't want the text showing, we don't want this link showing in a single row, okay? We want them to show under each other, okay? So we'll change the display. By default, I think on the navigation, did we give it a display? Let's look for the navigation. Okay, we did not give the navigation any form of display. So let's do that here. So we'll do a display of flex, a justify content of center, an align item of center, and a flex direction of colon. Okay, this will lay them out, yeah, like this. And that is actually perfect. That is good to go. Now, we want to give this nav a padding. Okay, we need some padding between. So we'll give a padding of 50 px top and bottom, 0 px left and right, and that should give us that spacing there. Now, one other thing I noticed is when we are scrolling through this, we can see that the navigation, the menu is actually behind some of the content, and we can fix that using Z index. So we'll give this a Z index of maybe 5 and save this. Perfect. Also, when we scroll, you see that this menu icons is this menu is remaining in the same spot, and I'm guessing that's because we did a position of fist. What we want to do is let's change this to absolute. Okay, that should fix that for us. Perfect. You see, when we scroll now, it remains where it is. The remaining thing to do for this is when we click on this icon, okay, we actually want this menu to show, and when we click on it, we want the menu to just hide itself. All right, so by default, this menu right here, okay, before we style the menu, let's give space between these navigation links first so that we can know we're done with that. So I'll come down here and say nav A. Okay, we want to give a padding of 10 PS top and bottom, 0 PS left and right, and let's increase the font weight too. Give this a font weight of around 600 and save that. Alright, now this is better. Okay, that is better. Now we also need margin bottom between each and every one of them, so we want to give a margin bottom of 20 px and save that. Alright, that works. Now the remaining thing to do here is on the click of this button, we want to show this menu, and if we click it again, it should be gone. So by default, when the page loads, okay, we don't want it to show. So what we can do is on the nav, we'll give it a display of none and save that. Perfect, it is gone. But then when this button is clicked on, we need it to show. A way we can do this is we can introduce a class to this nav. Okay, if we come to our HTML, okay, on the nav, we can actually give this a class of show. Okay, and if we style this class in CSS, so let's say nav.show, and we change the display back to flex, you can see it shows back. But watch what happens when I take away the class, get rid of that class of show, it is gone. And now what we just need is a way to trigger this class. Okay, when the user clicks on this button, the class will be taken off the elements, and when the user clicks again, the class will be put on the elements. Now to do that, we actually need JavaScript. Okay, we actually need JavaScript there. So what we are going to do is we are going to add a JavaScript file. So I'll create a new file called app.js. We'll create a file called app.js, and we want to grab in our JavaScript, we want to grab these elements. This is our menu here. Okay, we want to grab it. So by default, what I will do is we can give this an ID of menu. Okay, an ID of menu links. Let's say menu links. All right. So in our JavaScript, what we want to do is we want to grab that element. So we'll call this our menu equal to, let's do a const menu equal to document dot get element by ID, and then we want to grab the menu links. Okay, and when we grab that, the other thing we want to grab is this button. Okay, we need this button that will be clicked on. Where is that button? Okay, we need this button right here. Okay, so we'll give this button to an ID of btn menu. Okay, that's the ID we're giving that. Let's save that. Come back to JavaScript. We'll say const button equal to document.getElement by ID. We're getting the btn menu. Alright, and what we want to do now is whenever a user clicks on this button, okay, we want to add a class to this menu item here. These are our menu elements, and when they click on it again, we take away the class. So what we can do with JavaScript is we'll say our button.add event listener. We want to add an event listener to that to the button, and the event we want to add to it is the click event. What that means is whenever a user clicks on you, I want you to execute this function I'm going to have here. So we would actually write a function here. Alright, we would actually write a function here. We can actually use the arrow function. Okay, so let me use the arrow function here. Or what we can do is write the function separately. So let's have a separate function here. Okay, the name of this function will be toggle menu. Alright, so when a user clicks on this button, we'll be calling this function. The only thing we want to do in this function is we want to grab our menu. Okay, there is this property called class list. What this will do is it will return us the list of classes on this element, this HTML element. But we don't just want the class list. We want to call a function on that class list called toggle. What this function will do, just like the name states, is it will toggle this class, okay, this class of show. So it will put the class, take it off, put it, take it off. Now, I have a video on making responsive navigation menu using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So if this is not clear enough, I will recommend you check that out. So I'll copy this code. Okay, toggle is a double G there. I'll copy this function here now and put it here and save this. Now, we actually have to include our JavaScript file in our HTML. So just before the closing body tag, we'll open a script file and put the source, okay, to our app.js and save that and check our browser now. Let's go ahead and refresh this page. Let's see what happens when we click on this button. You see that? So if we click on the button now, the menu shows and it's gone. It shows and it's gone. If we actually inspect the element, okay, if we come to the element and let's come to the header, okay, on the nav menu, watch what happens when we load the page. You see that it doesn't have any class at all. But whenever we click on this button now, you see it has a class of show. We click on it again, the class is gone. And that's what this toggle does. This toggle function does in the class list. Alright, and that's that for that. Our menu is responsive now. Okay, so we can draw this down and we can resize this as long as we want. And our menu is still responsive, and every other aspect of the site, every other section kind of looks okay. But the only thing we want to fix is when we come to a very small screen size of around 600 px or even 650. Okay, we don't want to show two products anymore. Just one single product is enough. Okay, one single product per column, so just one column. And the same thing we want to do for the footer. Alright, so we'll go back to our code. In our CSS, we'll write another media query. Let me just copy this because I'm feeling too lazy already. And this time we want to target 650. So at this screen size now, what I want to do is I want to change the template colon for this. So for this product container again, okay, I'll copy that, come here and paste this here. Instead of 2 colon, we just need 1 colon. That will be 100%. That's all we need. Perfect. You can see that the product is occupying the full width of its parent in this screen size now. We want to do the same thing for the footer too. Okay, so let's grab the code for the footer that does that. If we look at the footer code, where did we change that? Okay, you can see here we made it 46%. 46%. So let's change that on this screen size now. So instead of 46, we want it to be 100 or so, and save that. You can see the footer now, also 100%. And every other thing seems okay. Every other section is okay. Oh, for this now, these tests are getting wrapped up, and I remember we changed the width of that. If we look for it, the promo, we changed the width to 70 px. Okay, so I'll just make a copy of this, paste it. At this screen size, let's just go with 90. 100 would have been okay. Let's make it 100. So instead of 90, go with 100. And here you have it. This web page now is fully responsive. Okay, it's fully responsive. The only problem I have is the image on this small screen size. Okay, you can see the image is getting chopped off. We can't really see the full image on this screen size. Now, when you are working on responsive web design, okay, I think the least mobile screen size you should worry about should be around 375. Okay, as at 375, you've done a good job. Okay, 375 or 370, you've done a good job at that screen size. Alright, but what I want is at this screen size, okay, that's around 650. Okay, I need this image to be centralized. Okay, it should be at the center. So to fix that, what we can do is we can come back to our CSS code, and where is that? Yeah, on the 650, we'll call our main. All right, we want to call the main, and we'll change the background position. If you remember, on the main, where is that main? Yeah, we did a background position of right bottom. What we want to do now is we'll change that to center bottom. So on the main, we'll change the background position to center bottom and save this. Okay, so let's go to that screen size now. You can see the images at the center there. The last thing I want to quickly fix here is if we expand this width, okay, you can notice that even on a large screen, this menu button is actually showing, and we don't want it to show on a large screen. We only want it to show on a smaller screen here. All right, so to fix that, we'll come to the CSS and look for that button. Okay, on the CSS ULLI, okay, this is the button here. We'll give its parents, this li, an ID of btn wrapper. Okay, I can go ahead and copy that, and in HTML, just before our media queries, what we want to do is grab that element and set its display. Oops, sorry. We want to grab that element, so let's copy that class. Copy the class, paste that. So we want to set the display to none. And if we save this, you can see on the big screen now it doesn't show, but the problem is even on the smaller screen it still doesn't show. So we need it to show on the smaller screen. So I'll just copy this, and the screen size where we want it to show is where we actually wrote those code for the nav, which is around 900 px. So around 900 px, we'll change the display to block and save that. Perfect, you can see that in action now. So on the bigger screen it's hidden, on the smaller screen like a mobile device or a tablet, it will be shown.
And that brings us to the end of this video. Now if you've got any questions, please go ahead and ask them in the comment section and I'll try replying. Thank you.